Welcome back to this Let's Play of Mask of the Betrayer. Last time we picked up the Silver Sword of Gith, which is one of the super items of the game, and the super item of the game as far as I'm concerned. We had our nice little chat with the founder. Before we continue, let's see if Sophia has anything to say about our little chat with the founder.
I had no idea the founder was actually alive. And, well...
You?
In a manner of speaking, yes. She shaped me from a fragment of her own soul. When I saw her, it became so clear. Her voice reminded me of the voices I've been hearing since, well, as long as we can remember.
As long as we can remember? Are you speaking the plural now?
At the tongue. But the fact remains, there's this clarity in knowing, understanding the voices. My whole life I thought they were delusions, but it was actually the others lending me their warnings and wisdom, and sometimes their pain and nightmares.
I like this. You know, technically you're talking to yourself.
Yes, I guess I am talking to myself. It could be worse. I could, you know, eat spirits.
Ow, burn. Anyway, that's...
Of course. Let's continue on.
That's it. You can also talk to Amanjaro. He just tells you about sort of what happened to your companions from the first campaign. And there's not really any useful information there. This two shadow Mulsantir is how we get back. However, there's a room behind that portal which has a couple items. There's this ring and this armor. I'm not going to use either of them, probably. I forget what this ring is, actually, but I know I'm not going to use the armor. Morning ring. Yeah. The Thavian Knight half-plate is fairly good. Again, it gives bonus to Intimidate skill, but penalty to Diplomacy skill. And, you know, it shifts some of your saves around, but it's really not anything special as far as things I'm actually going to use. So, if you missed that back room, don't feel like you missed anything important. We're going to take the portal back to Shadow Mulsantir. As we attempt to go, though, Jaro speaks up and says, you know, more or less, screw you, I'm leaving. And Oku says, well, at least it was good of you to save him. And we get 1,000 XP. And here's actually one of the 2 levels left that I kind of cared about, so I'm going to take that off screen. The portal brings us back to the first door incoming visitors at the Shadow Theater. So we know where we have to go, which is down deeper into the Death God's vault. So I'll meet you over there. Here we are back in the Death God's vault. I also bothered to put together a mithril breastplate. If I do in fact get the last automatic stealth spell, I'm not going to have any spell failure at all, so I can actually use that Kepaturi crest and a set of the heaviest set of armor I can wear, since I only have the light armor feat. The breastplate's as good as it gets. At any rate, we now have the key to this gate, the replical Sword of Gith. Or actually, you can also use the real one, in addition to the replica. You can just use the replica if you want to go down there earlier. You can go down here as soon as Chapter 2, but the lower floor is not as easy as the upper floor. Once again, this area has these offering urns, and if you take the contents of an offering urn, you fight a Shadow of the Void. Unlike the Shadow of the Void we fought upstairs, though, this one does not have a special essence when you kill it. It only uses the normal essences. Now, I'm not going to use the sword forms on this thing, the sword spells, I guess I should say, because I don't want to wake up everything by... Well, actually, let's see what happens. I'm going to use Infinite Resonance. Yep, that woke up a whole bunch of Shadows of the Void. That's kind of what I wanted to avoid, but oh well. No pun intended. So I'm just gonna Eternal Rest, that one, and I'm left with these other ones. So we're just going to keep spamming Infinite Resonance. Chilling Wrath is sort of annoying because these are ice-based enemies, so... And... now that we're out of Infinite Resonance, I'm going to open up my inventory, and from the Wand of Eternal Decay, cast a couple spells into the sword. They can't really hurt me all that well. I actually have avoided casting any normal spells, and I'm actually going to do as much as I can in this area with just Sword of Gith abilities. And we're down to... okay. We're going to need... now I have this huge stockpile of spells that I'm never going to cast. I might theoretically cast Crushing Hand. I'm never going to cast Shape Change though. And so we can cast Shape Change. Iron Golem on the sword. Any spell level 6 or higher will give a full spell-like ability charge. And it's still there. I'm going to do most of these fights off screen, because one of the things I may do, you can actually farm here pretty well, just by fighting these Shadows of the Void. They are not real hard enemies, and they give brilliant Spirit Essences, so you can just use them to gain levels and to gain Spirit Essences. I just got to the my 8th Brilliant Spirit Essence, so I'm going to grab my Alembic back from Sophia and use that and combine these. Oh, even that requires Craft Alchemy. I guess I am still sort of using Sophia. I could kind of fake this by casting Greater Heroism, getting around it. I'm not going to bother, but that gives us 2 pristine Spirit Essences. Open this up. Got my boots here. I'm going to actually make my boots better, and I'm going to save before I do this, just to be sure. Because these are boots that require levels in Monk, and I don't have any. I'm using Use Magic Device, and Use Magic Device is based on essentially your skill versus the cost of the item. Now, the cost of the item is essentially going up. Oops, I need Malleate Spirit. No. Yeah, I need Malleate Spirit. So I'm going to call these Hardy Boots of the Sun Soul +5. Again, you can use HTML tags if you want to. And now those give +8 con. I could get more, I guess, if I really wanted to. You can get up to +9 with a 3rd Pristine Spirit Essence, but the even numbers are all that matters, and I'm not going to get that high. So that's where I'm stopping there. As you can see, there are a bunch of urns in this room, and I'm just going to kill them all off screen just for the XP. If you want to farm, you can just keep resting here, and fairly high level enemies will attack you that you can chomp down on for good Spirit Essences, so you can get infinite XP here. And if you're going to farm, this is the place to do it, or grind. If you're primarily interested in farming this area other than just farming for XP, what you can do is you can say rest and then wait, and that will get rid of the cooldown on Eternal Rest. I would not recommend doing this with normal Devour Spirit. And that will get you through a, essentially through the wait, instead of having to wait 5 minutes between each one. These doors here appear to be resistant to knock, and they also appear to be resistant to smashing. They also have some pretty nasty traps on them. I don't have any way to get past them. I suppose I could use Kaji to get through them, there's not really anything all that important back in any of those areas. There's some random loot, and some other items I really don't care about, but it's mostly just more enemies, and, you know, if you were interested in farming or something, it'd be a great place to go, but here's another. This is listed as the archives door. And this area has a couple of these mummified, I think it's 4 mummified priests in it. There are a couple of them in the eastern part of this level too. They're very boring. We fought them on the floor above. They cast silence, and that's all they do that's interesting. So I'm just going to kill them off screen. Scattered through this area where these priests were, there are just a bunch of scrolls lying around. There's also this Tome of Profane Rebirth, which is useless to us, but it can be used for a different resolution to that priest back in Celebor's temple that wanted to study necromancy. That's sort of the evil resolution. These bookshelves are apparently warded or something, so you can't actually read what's in them. There's also this scroll, Lamentations of the Dead, which tells us a little more about the Betrayer's Crusade, but nothing really that we didn't already know, as far as the way things went. You know, it's just... because of the path we took through the game, that's all sort of old news to us at this point. The next area up here we should recognize when we get down to it. These stairs may look familiar, actually, as something we saw in the Dream Theater in the Hag Coven area. But we'll save that for the next video. And I'm just going to cut it off here.